Hey, church family. JT here. Today is day 45, so we're in Psalm 45. So another day, another psalm. Here we go. So here we have Psalm 45, and you can see in the subtext it's described as a love song. And so what we have taking place here is a royal wedding. And so you're going to see this language back and forth between a groom and a bride. And ultimately, it's pointing forward to this idea that through this wedding, through this marriage, there will hopefully be an heir who will sit upon the throne of the kingdom. And that because this heir will sit upon the throne of the kingdom will be secure. But ultimately, looking at it with New Testament eyes, we know that there's going to be little portions, as we'll look at just a little bit later, of this psalm that point towards full fulfillment in Christ. And we know that He is the true and lasting King who will sit upon the eternal throne in the eternal kingdom forever. Let's go ahead and begin here in verse 1. My heart overflows with a pleasing theme. I address my verses to the King. My tongue is like the pen of a ready scribe. You are the most handsome of the sons of men. Grace is poured upon your lips. Therefore God has blessed you forever. Gird your sword on your thigh, O mighty one, in your splendor and majesty. In your majesty ride out victoriously for the cause of truth and meekness and righteousness. Let your right hand teach you awesome deeds. Your arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies. The peoples fall under you. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of your kingdom is a scepter of uprightness. You have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions. Your robes are all fragrant with myrrh and aloes and cassia. From ivory palaces, stringed instruments make you glad. Daughters of the kings are among your ladies of honor. At your right hand stands the queen in gold of Ophir. Hear, O daughter, and consider and incline your ear. Forget your people and your father's house, and the king will desire your beauty. Since he is your Lord, bow to him. The people of Tyre will seek your favor with gifts, the richest of the people. All glorious is the princess in her chamber, with robes interwoven with gold. In many colored robes she is led to the king, with her virgin companions following behind her. With joy and gladness they are led along as they enter the palace of the king. In place of your fathers shall be your sons. You will make them princes in all the earth. I will cause your name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore nations will praise you forever and ever. As we conclude with Psalm 45, I did want to point out just a couple of these messianic oracles, as they're called, which are just verses that point to ultimate fulfillment in Christ. We see here in verse 6 and 7, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of your kingdom is a scepter of uprightness. It says, you have loved righteousness and hated wickedness. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness beyond your companions. And also we have here in verse 17 this final benediction. I will cause your name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore nations will praise you forever and ever. So we see here in this royal wedding psalm that it's pointing past itself to ultimate fulfillment in Christ. And we see that even within this context of a wedding, in our tradition, we know that a wedding service is not just about the bride and the groom, but it's actually a worship service where we look at this earthly covenant that's being made that ultimately points past itself to the heavenly covenant made between us and the Lord through Christ the Son. And in the same way, this psalm points past itself and looks past this earthly covenant, but to the heavenly covenant between God and us through Jesus Christ the Son.